Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, you guys, I just want to give everyone a trigger warning because there are some explicit or mature content. What I'm going to do is skip over certain words. And anyways, NSFW stands for not safe for work. You know, we never had that except for like a year ago, right? Which means this page has sensitive, explicit, or mature content that may not be for everyone. Posts may contain graphic or explicit images, references, or stories. So I'm going to scroll through this and make sure there's no images. This is 5 years ago. Let's not meet. My experience with the Church of Scientology. This happened when I was around 17 years old, and it is still happening now. At 17, I felt lost in the world and stuck in a job. It's vulnerable. I disliked with work colleagues that didn't like me. This had to do with my accent, as I was quite well spoken, so they thought I was a rich kid. It all started on a Friday after work. The factory I worked in had a half day on Fridays, so I would just spend the rest of the day wandering around the city I lived in. It had been a tough day of relentless mocking, and I was reaching my breaking point. I went around the city looking for a new job. I visited the police recruitment center, the Army, Navy, and Air Force centers, and even the International Red Cross. I just wanted to get away from it all. After a few hours, I had a bag full of career pamphlets and still no idea what to do with my life. I turned a corner and immediately saw a sign sitting in front of me. I can remember it so vividly now. It said, "Free personality test. Are you curious about yourself? Come in." I then looked up at the building, and in a big fancy sign outside it said, "The Church of Scientology." Now, before I continue, yes, I already knew about Scientology. However, I had a morbid curiosity about it. I had heard all the horror stories and goings-on inside of the church, but Tom Cruise was my favorite actor, and he seemed to have his life sorted out pretty good. My famous last words right there. So I went inside. I was immediately greeted by a very nice lady. She asked me how I was doing and what she could do for me today. I asked if I could speak to somebody about the church and the personality test. She smiled and said I would be happy to. Please take a seat and I will get you someone to speak to. After a minute, I was introduced to an older man named Alan, and he was the head of my city's Scientology center. Alan took me to a small room to talk privately. When we entered, there's the isolation. I immediately noticed the large picture of L. Ron Hubbard on the wall. That's the guru ship. We sat down and genially had a nice talk. I told him about how I was unhappy about where my life was going. I told him about how I wanted to leave, plus all the trouble I was having at work. He seemed genuinely concerned for me, and I felt like he wanted to help. After a while of talking, I agreed to do the personality test. He gave me the test and left the room, saying to give the test to the receptionist after I had finished. 2 hours later, I finished it. Not joking. That's really how long it took. How's that for data collection? It was around 500 questions about anything and everything. Data collection, which is going on everywhere right now, but what do I know? I handed it to the receptionist, and she told me it would take some time to process. In the meantime, Alan had told her to take me to their private cinema and show me a film. I thought it was just going to be some old room in the back with a TV on the wall, but no. They did indeed have a private cinema. It could seat around 50 people and had a large screen in the front. It did feel a bit weird just being by myself in a cinema, owned by Scientology, but I bet that hadn't happened to many people. Or maybe it has. It's the trap, you guys. Anyway, I sat down and they played me the film. It was about 30 minutes long and consisted of a narrator explaining those strange feelings you sometimes get, with some mediocre acting following along. I remember a section about how much you doubt yourself, knowing you have locked a door but going back to check multiple times. At one point, the film showed how a past event that happened to your mother while she was pregnant with you could affect your life in a negative way. Example: your mother was sick on a flight, so you are scared of flying. I also vaguely remember something about rotten eggs and how much an event involving them can hurt you. I know it sounds absurd, but in some ways the film really made sense to me. When the film was done, I was taken to Alan's office, and he told me my results. He told me I was extremely depressed. Of course he was. Isn't this psychology they're doing, you guys? One of the most unmotivated people he had ever met. Remember Kaja? She killed herself after the personality test. Go look up Kaja, the suicide, after a personality test, the one that we know about. One of the most unmotivated people he had ever met. It's sickening. Lacking cognitive thinking, and I was a waste of talent. There's the bait, you guys. Now this made me very upset, but Alan said he could help me. There you go. He gave me about 4 books and a DVD. He told me to read the books and watch the film before my course. I asked, what course? And Alan told me he had signed me up to do a course at the center. He convinced me that if I didn't do this course, that my life would soon spiral out of control. He made me I can't understand what this says. He made me over quite a lot of money for the course and said I would receive an email about the course, which was in a month's time. I left the center, ran home, and immediately started reading the books I was given. This happened all over the weekend. I had basically locked myself in my room and did nothing but read and reread those books and watch the DVD over and over again. This is also somebody putting faith in something outside of themselves. I just want to mention that. Over the next week, I began taking notes about myself and my family. I emailed, boy, they're getting a lot of information for him, aren't they? I emailed Alan with questions and concerns. I started resenting my mother for my life. I began to think that she was the problem, that everything bad that happened to me was a result of her. I started to treat her badly, swearing at her, and did the best I could to ignore her. When I emailed Alan about my mother, he told me that if she was the catalyst for my problems, then maybe I should consider disconnecting from her. And I took that bullshit seriously. I made plans to totally leave her out of my life. A week before my course, I developed some kind of God complex towards everyone around me. What I read in those books told me what I could become. I saw everyone in my family is below me. I really became a truly spiteful person. Just days before my course, I was confronted by my mother and father. They said they were concerned about me, and they searched my room. My dad took out all of my Scientology books and the DVD. I was outraged. I screamed and cursed at my parents. I said horrible, wicked things to them. I told them how I was going to leave them and how I never wanted to see them again. How's that for mind control? Hours of arguing back and forth, tears and crying. However, in the end, they did convince me that the church was a bad place. They said, if I was so miserable at work, I should have told them, and that is true. To this day, I can't believe I didn't say anything to them. Instead, I went to Scientology. He got baited. That night, after the arguing had stopped, they sat me down and comforted me. I really couldn't believe it. After the way I had treated them for the past 3 weeks, they still cared for me. The next day I emailed Alan and told him I would not be coming back to the church. He quickly got back to me asking why, asking if it was my family. You see, these people know what they're doing, a lot of them. I don't think all Scientologists are bad, but some of them do know the evil they're doing. He quickly got back to me asking why, asking if it was my family and if it was being forced to not go. However, I ignored him. The emails I revived in the next few months were mad. He told me stuff like I should leave my family now and I could stay at the church. Wouldn't this be state evidence, you guys? Inquiring minds want to know. Wouldn't this be state evidence for the police officers, sheriff's departments, Federal Bureau of Investigation? Wouldn't that be enough for evidence? Huh. He told me stuff like I should leave my family now and I could stay at the church. There's the isolation. He tried to convince me that it was because of my mother. He even emailed me to say something along the lines of, he won't be surprised if he read in the papers that I was found dead by suicide. Wow. I'm very sure he crossed a line there, but I just kept ignoring him. The strangest email I got was one in all binary code, 001101011. This and 100010101110. That. I used a binary code translator, but it all came back as mixed up letters and numbers. None of it made sense. Maybe it was just the wrong computer code. Maybe, I don't know. I eventually blocked him. However, it still hasn't stopped. About 2 or 3 times a year, I will get an email from the church. Why not just open up a new email? It's my opinion. When I get them, I immediately block the email address, but they just keep coming. It's always someone new saying they heard about my case and they were worried about me. See that fake concern, you guys? Narcissism, anyone? The whole reason I'm writing this is because I just got one the other day and I thought it would make a good warning. Please, I beg of you, do not go to a Church of Scientology center. If they can make me into a spitefully degenerate in just a few hours, then what can they do with a person in a few months or a year? Or how about a child? If anyone has any idea how to block an entire religion cult from my email, then please let me know. And if you're lost in life, sad or upset, that's vulnerable, then please talk to your family, friends, or doctor. When you are down, don't let others make you into a monster. Take it from me. After this event, I got help, and I am a happy, confident person now. Thank you so much for reading, and have a great day. Let's remember this person was 17 years old, you guys. Child. Oh, and Alan, if you are reading this, you made me into a monster. So for your sake, let's not meet again. Okay, I'm gonna like pick and choose what responses I read, because some of these are Scientologists. This must be a Scientologist. I'm guessing it is, but I'm going to read it anyways. Wow, what a roller coaster. I'm glad you came to your senses. I think depression leaves us desperate for any key to happiness. You see, that's a Scientology thing. How are you now, my friend? I'm doing a lot better, thank you. Done a few things in my life now. Just adds to the adventure. Glad to hear it. Adventure is always good. Good job. F Scientologists. They eat each other's... Oh, boy, nasty. Oh, somebody told the Scientologist off. I'm not going to read it. Oh, of course, the religion bashing is going to be a Scientologist. Oh, here's about the suicide of Patrick Vick. I've covered this before. I sometimes forget the names because, unfortunately, there's been so many suicides. Jean-Jacques Mazière was convicted of fraud and involuntary homicide. and sentenced to 18 months in prison for his role in the death of a member who committed suicide after going deeply into debt to pay for Scientology auditing. 14 others were convicted of fraud as well. That was November 22nd, 1996. It's not so much a religion as a multi-level marketing scheme, disguised as a self-help program. I had much curiosity about Scientology, and then I read about Xenu and wondered how people could believe that. Well, people don't find that out until like the top levels. Can you imagine back in the day before internet when people paid all that money and then learned about Xenu? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That must have been such a letdown. Thank God for the internet. Okay, Sappy Dark responds, man, it is a good thing your parents intervened and managed to get you the heck out of their clutches. Sounds like they knew just how to prey on you. Exactly. Because you were young and insecure. And they fed into your dissatisfaction with your life at that point. See it in version. From what I've heard and read about Scientology over the years, once they've got their hooks into you, they'll manage to isolate you from everyone you know. Exactly. So that they can influence you more. You should check out actress Leah Remini's A&E series about Scientology. Her account about it is significant because she is literally, as far as I know, the only famous actress to come out and reveal what it was like actually growing up in Scientology church. And how weird it was, of course. The church has either threatened to sue her or has sued her claiming that her claim about them are false. She also interviews people in the program who escaped Scientology like she did. I saw a couple of episodes and they definitely had some crazy stories to tell. Can you explain what the auditing is? That's blackmail information. Taken by children. Working children, which I thought was illegal, but you know. I read the article and understood how it is like questions and answers. I read the whole thing, I didn't skim through it, but how does one go into debt from that? Anyways, I'm not going to read the whole thing, you guys. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.